Hey, all Kate here from the Minecart, and I'm pretty sure you heard about the recent bans of not safe for work games on Steam and itch.io. And if you're confused about everything going on, allow me to explain. Okay, so there's this organization called Overwhelming Shout? Outshout? Let me check. Collective Shout. Yeah. So there's this organization called Collective Shout who is attempting to ban basically some of the games that are trying to ban are like pornographic games, which here's the thing. If someone wants to play a pornographic game, personally, I don't care. Especially since I myself have played a few in my life, so there's that. But yeah. Now, the reason why this is a problem is because how they're getting these games banned is that they're not mass collecting, that they're mass shouting at payment processors to contact the sites like Steam and itch.io to get the games removed. Now, I and many others can agree on this point, but payment processors, which are private companies, should not have control over what we buy. The only reason they should have control over what we buy is if someone's trying to buy something illegal. But besides that, they should have zero control of what people want to buy, especially if someone just wants to buy a not safe for work game. But, obviously, if all of this is successful, if they're like completely successful at like being able to get rid of every single not safe for work game, you think they're going to stop there? Now look, I'm not saying there would be collective shout behind the entire censorship of the game industry, but you do realize if all this is very successful, there will be other organizations who will see this and be like, let's try this, but instead of not safe for work games, let's try this with, hey, we don't want people in the LGBTQ community in video games, or we don't want people of color in these video games, or even worse, there could be a Puritan group who could try this strategy and be like, hey, we want you to stop selling all M-rated games in general. This was something that was brought up by Moist Critical when he talked about it in his video. But yeah, all of this, again, we all know that if all this is successful, it's not going to stop at not safe for work games. It's eventually going to snowball down to other groups of people not being able to show up in video games, and then M-rated games as a whole would be cut out, which, as a Doom and Mortal Kombat fan, that would make me very upset. And then, eventually, who knows, all video games might be banned because, this is life. There's going to be someone out there who will be offended by things that really shouldn't offend them. Now, the reason why Collective Shout is going after the not safe for work games is because they claim that, okay, here's the thing. The ones they went after on Steam, I have to admit, the ones on Steam were low-hanging fruit since they involved, abuse and incest and stuff like that. But here's the thing, they claim that, we want to have games that empower women, but they went after Detroit Become Human, which has some women in power. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen anything related to that game. They also tried to go after GTA 5, and they were like, it's a game where you strictly kill women, and you're awarded for it, which, no, you're not. Sure, I haven't played GTA 5. But I've seen enough gameplay to know that, no, you don't strictly kill women. In fact, it's completely optional to commit a crime. Yeah, in the story you can do crime, but, in the multiplayer, it's completely optional. But yeah, it's just, again, okay, look, I'm not saying we should completely stop doing censorship, because I understand why censorship exists, because there are going to be, sometimes you get, a piece of media that has something that's, really offensive or like something that has aged very poorly. I get that. But when it comes to things like, oh, types of content, like not safe for work, it just doesn't really sit right with me. Most censorship never sits right with me, and because currently we are politically in a time where there are people who are trying to outright ban not safe for work content in general. Yeah, all of this is just, it's not really that great. And again, we all know that if all this is successful, it's not going to stop at not safe for work games. I know I said this multiple times, but there will be other organizations who will look at all of this and be like, let's try to get other types of video games banned. Like I mentioned earlier, there might be an organization that's like, hey, stop selling games with LGBTQ characters in it, or hey, stop selling M-rated games in general. And it's just a whole situation that shouldn't be possible because, again, a payment processor should not be able to control what you can and cannot buy with your own money. Again, if it's something, the only reason a payment processor should be able to control what you buy is if you're trying to buy something that's like actually illegal, like drugs or like illegal weapons or illegal content featuring children or animals. That's the only time where a payment processor should be able to tell you that you can't buy this. But besides that, a payment processor should not have control over what you can and cannot buy. And actually, this is another thing that Moist Critical brought up in this video. But there is a very high chance that this could apply to other things that aren't video games. I'm going to use one of those examples, but like one of them was like, oh, what if you wanted to buy like a replica samurai sword because there was an anime that you enjoyed, but when you tried to buy it, you weren't able to buy it because according to the payment processors, oh, that sword is way too dangerous and we cannot sell that and shit like that. It's just. Again, like, I understand why censorship is a thing, because sometimes there will be something out there that will have to be covered up, and it's mostly for, like, good reasons, but this isn't a good reason. Now, you may be curious, Kate, how do we stop the possible future where video games are heavily censored? Well, that's because we have a savior in all this, and it's this change.org position. Obviously, I'll have it in the description below, so all of you can sign it. And then, actually, in fact, I used it. I've actually been using its thumbnail as I've been using the blurred version of the change.org petition's background or icon as a background, as well as something to be a part of the thumbnail for this video. But yeah, I already signed this, but the change.org petition, this will hopefully, possibly help with trying to stop collective shout and the payment processors from trying to do mass censorship of video games. Because again, look, I know not a lot of people like porn games because it's like, oh, it's porn and and stuff like that. But personally, again, I don't mind. If someone wants to play a porn game, that's perfectly okay. Like, as long as they're of age, I don't care if someone wants to play a not safe for work game. So, to stop the possible future censorship of video games as a whole, go sign this petition, please. It already has a bunch of other signatures, and you even have the option to donate some money if you want to. But please, 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 go sign this petition, because I don't think any of us want to live in a world where video games are heavily censorship, all because a bunch of uptight moms from Australia just decided that, hey, we need to start censoring things that aren't for children. And also a little side tangent, but this also just kind of, personally for me, this also kind of connects to the whole thing of, like, people, specifically people in, like, political power, like, trying to cleanse the internet to make it kid-friendly. Which, look, I know I was someone who was, like, a kid who went on the internet at a young age, but The internet is not for children. It's not supposed to be for children. The internet is supposed to be for everyone. And when you have something that's for everyone, it's a very high chance that you will see something that isn't made for kids. Something that isn't made for a kid-friendly or family-friendly audience. So yeah, that was my little video about this whole situation. Again, go sign the petition so we can hopefully stop all of this censorship bullshit that's going on. So, yeah. That was it for this little rant video, I guess. Again, I know this is getting annoying, but go sign the petition. Actually, you know what? I don't care if I'm being annoying about this. Go sign the petition. Because if you don't, there is a very high chance that we might soon live in a future where a bunch of video games are heavily censored. And again, mature games being banned as a whole. Like, when I say mature games, I'm not saying, like, oh, pornographic. I mean, like, mature as, like, M-rated, like, stuff like Doom and Mortal Kombat and Dead Rising and a bunch of other M-rated video games. I don't want, like, you think I want to lose Doom, Mortal Kombat, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Far Cry, a bunch of other M-rated games that are quite popular? No. And also, if Call of Duty was banned, do you not realize how many people would try to reenact No Russian in real life? Look, I'm not saying all COD players are violent, but there are definitely some people out there that if Call of Duty was banned, they would try to recreate No Russian. I'm just being honest. But yeah, please go sign the petition, and that was it for this video. Peace out, home guards, and goodbye.